Good morning, Joseph. Good morning, Lisa. Ma'am.
I said, good morning. I am about 2 minutes away from the office.
Oh,
So
my.
I'm in on my phone now. And then when I get there, I'll go in on my computer.
Perfect. Tony won't be joining us this morning. Just her life is family-based this morning, as it should be.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
And the good thing about your driving on Saturday morning is you don't have a lot of traffic, so that's good.
There's not nearly as much traffic. So.
Well, thank you for joining.
So my question is, on the agenda, Tony is doing the opening and the land acknowledgement. Do I need to do that or?
No, I have
Okay.
land
All right.
acknowledgement. So I'll do the welcome and that, and then introduce you, and then we will start with the PowerPoint.
Okay. And so I'm just doing our greetings. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
And are you going to stay on, or do you know yet?
Yes, I will be able to stay on. Becky is coming to the office. Gwinnett is having AR training at 11. And so Becky is coming. We're going to see them at 11, and I'm going to be there with them. And they are supposed to finish at 1. And the cab has an ESP event that begins at 1. So when I finish with Gwinnett, I will drive down the street to DeKalb's event.
Lovely. Well, feel free to add to our discussion in all of this.
Okay.
You have quite the busy day.
Yes, I had a very busy week. I haven't even been able to post about anything. But the very best thing happened last night.
And what's that?
Okay, so I was at the Peachtree City event. Becky spoke, Charlie Bailey, then the chair of the Fayette Dems introduced Stacy. Stacy spoke. Stacy calls me up to close everything out. Okay, so I do that. And then, Stacy's giving them directions about how she's going to do the selfies and stuff. This lady comes up. She says, you don't remember me. I'm like, yes, I do. My first principal that hired me in DeKalb County was there.
Cheers, Lisa. Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yes. She retired like my 4th year. And she came up, she's like, giving the speech, she's like, I'm so proud of you. And it was just like, so, yeah. So I'm going to post a picture of me and her later today.
Sid, superb.
Yeah, Sid took pictures for me. But this is the crazy thing. So there's one picture with me and Stacy, Becky, and Charlie, and my shirt looks turquoise. And it's like, wait a minute. Then the other pictures, my shirt looks like more a jade color. It's the same shirt. I did not change shirts. But 2 completely different colors based on in these pictures. So, yeah. Okay, so I am in the deck. So I'm going to mute myself and walk in. Okay. And I will switch to my computer when I get there.
Sounds great.
And yeah, I have my choice. My normal spot's available, but every other spot in the deck is available.
Good morning, Tammy. Good morning, Linda. We'll start at around 9 this morning. So glad everybody is here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Live from Houston, just getting up after a long day. So I'll see you guys at 9.
Yes, 8 o'clock your time.
Right. Okay, guys. Hey, Lisa. Hello, Tammy. Hello, Joseph.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Joseph, where do you reside?
Right in Lithonia, Georgia.
And what part of Georgia? Lithonia?
Well, Stonecrest.
Okay. So is it cold where you are?
Yeah, it's a little chilly.
It's like all of a sudden in the last week we have gone from, oh, I think it's summer to oh, where's my winter hat?
That's about it. There's some crazy cold weather, but it's not that cold yet.
No, that we saved for January and February, I think.
Oh yeah, we might not because it's been crazy. We've been having decent, winter, but it's been cold. Hey, wrong time. Yeah. All right. Let me see what I got. I'll be right back.
Okie dokie. Again, we'll start a little bit around 9.
Okay.
Good morning, Pam, Calvin. Glad you all are here.
Good morning.
Is it cold, Calvin, down in South Georgia, or how's the weather down there?
Well, it's cold right now, but it's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to warm up.
Same thing in the Classic City. It's supposed to be 70s, and we don't play football today, so that's a good thing also. Good morning, Pam, from Chicago, right?
Absolutely. Good morning to everybody.
It's
Took me
early.
a minute to get the video going. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. It's early in Chicago. Linda Smith, who's on this call, is joining us from Houston. So it's the beauty of Zoom at this point in time. It's really a great mechanism so that we don't have to be traveling all over the countryside.
I wish I were as proficient before I retired when we were thrown into virtual learning, and albeit that I taught online at the college level, working with kiddos during the throes of the pandemic. But my experiences with WEP and GPO repeal have presented numerous opportunities.
Well, I'm told, I'm a former English teacher, I might have mentioned, and I think I'm told that in classrooms, they don't get issued anthologies. And I'm like, well, how can they like appreciate the printed word? And, but, you know, obviously one of my biases in all of this.
I absolutely agree. I had a text that I used to teach from that, I mean, it was something I had come across, an older text for, you know, English classes with anthology, you know, and it was an anthology. And it was the best textbook I ever used in my life. Not that it was on the approved list. It wasn't, you know, a bad book, you know, considered, but things just changed so much over the years.
Yes, yes. Yes, there are certain anthologies I still have on my bookshelf. I'm not sure what I think I'm going to do in retirement with them. But, you know, when you find one that you like. Good morning. Hi, Joe. Nice of you to join us. Vicki, Kelly, good morning.
Great to be here.
Good
So,
morning.
good morning. Joe, you don't have all your clocks in the background, or else you're there. I can't see them because you're blurred, but that's okay. Okay, good. At least one. Oh, there. Okay, I see the other one.
They haven't changed for daylight savings. How are you today, Karen?
Oh, I am well.
Quiet weekend in Athens.
Yes, there's no football, so I don't have to like be clenching my teeth on this Saturday. I live, for those of you who don't know, I live in Athens, Georgia, and of course I hope you know the Bulldogs have, sorry Lisa, are doing well in terms of football again this year. And but we sure haven't shown up on the field a couple games like we were a #1 team. So it's nice to have the weekend off in terms of worry, at least, about that.
Karen, where do you live in Athens?
About as far towards Atlanta in Athens, Clark County as you can get. So I'm out by the Pepsi Cola plant and Strickland's Barbecue, and there's a little
Right.
honky tonk called Mel's Place. That's in walking distance. Not that I've ever walked there.
Does Strickland still have a place downtown, or they just move out there?
They just moved out there.
I used to have barbecued goat every Friday. I don't know if they still do or not.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make that whimpering sound.
You'd never know the difference.
Oh, I love goat.
Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning. Good morning.
You're in Mobile?
I am. You know what time it is for me?
I do. It's the same time as it is for Pam and for Linda. Y'all are on Central Time. Thank you for joining, Patrick.
No problem. Hi, Lisa Morgan.
Hi, Patrick. Good morning, everyone.
And again, we'll wait just a couple more minutes before we get started.
Karen, you were speaking about the weather. I'm gonna have to go back down and get a sweater out of my car.
Is it cold in the building?
It's cold in the building right now.
It's cold in Mobile. I don't like cold weather. That's why I moved back home. I couldn't take Atlanta. It was too cold for me.
Well,
Computer in my office if you want it.
yeah.
Look, I'm gonna make you laugh. I said, you know what? Snow and cold are 4-letter words, and somebody told me it's so is hell.
Well, my windshield actually had a little bit of ice on it when I got in my car this morning.
Better you than me.
Not cool. Not
It's
cool.
going to be a beautiful day. I don't know why they are complaining. It's going to be a beautiful
Oh yeah,
day.
it's gonna be nice. I just need that warm up to start happening.
So you're in South Georgia, like I'm in Mobile, Calvin. We're down in the lower part where it's not as cold.
I'm going to wait one
Yes,
more minute.
absolutely.
Well, it is close to 9:01, so I am going to go ahead and get started. My name is Karen Solheim. For those of you I haven't met before, I'm a GAE retired member and currently on the GAE Board of Directors as one of the 3 retired at-large directors representing the retired organization. So I greet you this morning. And when we start with a GAE or an NEA meeting, we always do a short land acknowledgement. So I'd like us to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of Indigenous people and pay respect to elders, present, past, and future. And it's my pleasure this morning to introduce our GAE president, Lisa Morgan, to bring us greetings. Lisa.
Thank you, Karen. Good morning, everyone. First, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving up part of your Saturday morning to learn more about one of the issues that is of major concern to our members. We'll remind you, I cannot do this right now without reminding everyone, if you have not already gone and voted early, please make your plan to do so. And if you are in the metro Atlanta area, I would say to you, check on those websites. And there are places in metro Atlanta that there are no lines for early voting, but I'm in Gwinnett County, and the Maine elections office has had 45-minute to hour lines all week. But if you're willing to drive 15 or 20 minutes, you can find one of the parks and go in and walk straight through and no line at all. So do encourage all of you to vote early, and please vote for our friends of public education, those candidates who have indicated they will continue to support public education. And I will be here this morning, so if you have questions for me, I will put my email and my phone number in the chat. Feel free, send me a text, send me an email. And I hope we all learn a lot this morning so we can be more knowledgeable when we are addressing our elected officials about the impact of GPO-WEP on our members and ultimately on our profession and our students.
Thank you, Lisa. Always a
Thank
pleasure
you.
to have you with us. And I'm sharing, I hope, just a minute, the agenda for this morning. we're going to go through and do an overview of GPO-WEP. Here's some GPO-WEP testimonials among our members. Do some Q&A. Know where to find more information about the GPO-WEP. And hopefully technology will be our friend and we'll develop an elevator speech. Because if we can't go through as people potentially impacted by GPO-WEP and share 30, 60 seconds about what GPO-WEP is all about, then we're surely not going to convince others, especially our elected officials, to repeal GPO-WEP. We'll go through, we'll talk about what has been done as far as repeal efforts, what will be done. Hopefully we will take some action today, and I'll share at the very end some things concerning upcoming GAE and GAE retired events that will be legislatively focused. And I go on record at this point in time when we talk through this, I do not work for Social Security. So if you have questions that are unique to your situation, please seek out the answers from someone who is qualified to say, well, this is what's going to happen for you in Social Security. The goal here today is to go through and share generic information so that we're all fairly even more educated about the GPO-WEP. So I do want to take just a quick poll, and if you can put a thumb up or a thumb down, how many people have heard of GPO-WEP? I got at least, okay, I got some thumbs happening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you'll take down those thumbs, how many people feel like you're an expert and would be prepared to talk to a member of Congress about GPO-WEP? Okay, we got some honest people here. Anybody else feel like they're prepared? Okay. This is good information to have, and thank you so much for sharing. And let me share for a minute this PowerPoint, and this is where slideshow from the beginning. Is there anybody who cannot see the screen? Okay, so I'm going to talk for a little bit and then we'll go through and change speakers. And Calvin, is your hand up to ask a question or just from responding before? Up, hand down. Okay.
Just
So-
from responding.
Okay, good deal. So we know that if you are going to have any Social Security benefits, that you have to have a minimum of 10 years of your working experience. And that translates into 40 credits. So if you have less than 10 years of working experience or less than 40 credits, you will not receive any Social Security benefits based on your work record. So if you have 8 years and 32 credits, then Social Security is something you won't get anyway because you haven't met the minimum of the 40 credits. And currently, to get the 40 credits needed for retirement and Medicare benefits, a credit is $1,510 in covered earnings. And you can earn a maximum of 4 credits a year. And I do know, because some of this I ferreted out for my own situation, that the 4 credits don't have to be evenly spaced throughout the year. So if somebody wants to pay you $6,500 for a day's worth of work in covered earnings, you can go through and earn your 4 credits in one day. I haven't found anybody legally who will do that yet at this point in time, but the 1,510 is for covered earnings. And what covered earnings mean is that these are jobs, employment, where Social Security taxes are taken out. So today we're going to talk about how the GPO and the WEP might affect your Social Security benefits. And both of these, the GPO-WEP, are pieces of federal legislation. So yes, my goal is that we will educate the members of our General Assembly here in Georgia so that they can help also speak out in repealing the GPO-WEP. But your particular Georgia senator or representative can't go through and do anything in terms of affecting this legislation. Sally? Oh, hand went down. Okay. And in education, as we know, we go through all the time and use these wonderful acronyms and initialisms. And so the GPO-WEP, GPO is Government Pension Offset. And this happens to affect this first one, your spouse benefits. And the WEP, windfall elimination provision, affects your benefits. So we're going to go through and talk about the WEP first, because I always like to start with self. And what this says, if any part of your pension is based on work not covered by Social Security, you might be affected by the windfall elimination provision. I happen to go through and teach my entire career in 2 systems in Georgia, Jefferson City and Oconee County, and Social Security, neither one of those 2 systems took out. And so I am affected by the WEP. I also, at this point in time, do not have my 40 quarters in, and so I'm not even eligible for any Social Security benefits. And what it means by affected by the windfall elimination provision is that there would be a reduction in your retirement and disability benefits. And at present, you can see from this lovely map, there are 15 states where the WEP and the GPO affect educators. And you can see Georgia here, it varies by school district. And so, as I just mentioned, I was not subject to Social Security being taken out. I know DeKalb County, Gwinnett County, there are several systems in Georgia, and we're trying to compile a complete list. It varies from system to system. And in addition to these states where there is not Social Security being taken out for educators, there are also public sector jobs that impact people, and the GPO-WEP applying to them. So firefighters, police officers, other government and state workers do not have Social Security taken out, and then are subject to having their Social Security benefits reduced. So the windfall elimination provision came into effect in 1983. And again, if you look at your W-2 and you are not having Social Security taken out of what you are earning, and you're subject to having the TRS pension or the PSERS pension, then your Social Security benefits may be reduced. And the WEP affects, as you can see here, almost 2 million people nationally. And of that, around 5,600 Georgians. And it reduces the retirement and disability benefits up to 50%. So that's the threshold. You can't go lower in having your Social Security benefits reduced. I guess that's the good news. I don't know. And I have this formula up here, which is not the formula for the WEP, but the way I understand it is the WEP formula is to me fairly complicated. It's a 3-part formula. And the more covered work that you have by Social Security, and they call that substantial earnings. And for 2022, it's the 27,300. The more covered work that you have where you have paid into Social Security, the less the WEP cuts into your Social Security benefits. So it's kind of a teeter-totter effect. And as I mentioned, the most that the WEP can reduce your Social Security benefits is 1/2. So there's a short, less than 2-minute video by AARP that talks and just kind of reviews what I've said about the windfall elimination provision.
What's the windfall elimination provision for Social Security?
The windfall elimination provision is a rule that reduces Social Security retirement benefits for people who also collect a pension from what's called non-covered employment. Those are jobs in which people do not pay Social Security taxes.
You mean a job in which the employer doesn't withhold FICA taxes?
That's right. Today, most workplaces participate in Social Security, but some state and local government agencies do not. If you have a non-covered pension, but have also worked at least 10 years in jobs for which you paid Social Security taxes, so that you also qualify for Social Security benefits, the windfall elimination provision kicks in. It can reduce your monthly Social Security payment by up to half the amount of your pension, but it never reduces your benefit to zero. The more covered work you did, that is, the longer you paid Social Security taxes, the less the windfall elimination provision cuts into your benefits. To learn more, go to aarp.org/Social Security.
What's the
So we've talked a little bit about the WEP and how it affects you or might affect you personally. So I want to talk now about the GPO, the government pension offset, and this affects your spousal benefits. And this law actually came into effect sooner than the WEP. It came into effect in 1977. And so the government pension offset affects your spousal or your survivor benefits. And if you were not affected by the government pension offset, a spousal benefit can be as much as 1/2 of the worker's primary insurance amount. And these are just some examples that if you're not affected by GPO, what you might receive in terms of survivor benefits. And what the GPO does is eliminates or goes through and cuts your Social Security benefits by 2/3. So here is just a math formula, sample example. We're going to pretend this person named Anne has a pension, and we're going to take 2/3 of that. So that means that the reduction to her Social Security survivor or spousal benefits would be $2,000. So we're pretending that Anne is getting a Social Security survivor benefit of $2,200. Again, if she were not, I want to say victim to, but if she were not subject to the GPO, you take the 2/3 of Anne's pension away from that, and you can see the great reduction to her survivor benefits after the GPO reduction. And is it possible that with GPO that your dependent or your survivor, your spousal benefits may be reduced to zero? I'm just the messenger. But the answer is yes, it's the total GPO offset. This affects 700,000 people nationally, 20,000 people in Georgia, most of whom are women. Often low income, often our educational support professionals are subject to this. And again, as I've said, it reduces the survivor or spousal benefits by 2/3 of the public pension that you would receive. So 9 out of 10 lose the entire spousal benefit. Again, I am just the messenger. So one more video that I want to show, and this video actually talks about TRS, but this short video, when they say TRS, they're talking about the Texas retirement system, but the information just substitute in Georgia anytime they say Texas, because again, this is just an overview about both the GPO and the WEP.
Meet Kim. Kim is an assistant principal at a middle school. She's been a TRS member for 12 years. Before becoming an educator, Kim worked as a public librarian for 11 years. While working for the city, Kim paid into the Social Security system. Since she began working for her school district, Kim has not paid into Social Security. Like most Texas school districts, her district does not participate in Social Security. That means Kim is only eligible for Social Security benefits based on her previous employment with the city and through her spouse, who has paid into Social Security for his entire career. Kim is currently reading up on 2 Social Security provisions that could reduce or even eliminate her Social Security benefits. The Windfall Elimination Provision, also known as WEP or WEP, and the Government Pension Offset, or GPO. Because Kim will receive a TRS pension for employment in which she did not pay Social Security taxes, the Social Security benefits she earned from her previous employment could be reduced by the WEP but not totally eliminated. The amount of the reduction depends on the amount of her earnings and the number of years she paid Social Security taxes. The GPO, however, could offset or even eliminate Kim's spousal benefits if she retires from her current employer. The GPO will reduce her spousal Social Security benefits by 2/3 of her TRS pension. If 2/3 of Kim's TRS pension exceeds the amount of her spousal benefits from Social Security, she will not receive a spouse or widow's Social Security benefit. If you or your spouse has paid into the Social Security system, contact a Social Security representative to determine if the WEP or GPO apply to you. Ask if there are any exceptions to the GPO that could eliminate the offset to your spousal benefits. Be prepared to balance out the potential effects of these provisions with personal savings when you retire.
So what I would like to do, we do have 2 people on this call, maybe more, who are affected by GPO-WEP, and Patrick is secretary of our GAE retired organization. So Patrick, do you want to share? Could you share, please, just a little bit about how this has impacted your life?
I would be glad to. Let me start. When I started teaching, I started in Mobile. They took out Social Security and teacher retirement here. So for 13 years, working in Alabama, they took out Social Security. So I also worked a part-time job during those 13 years. I got sick, went out of teaching for a while and taught and worked in the public sector full-time for almost 10 years. Then I moved to Georgia. They do not take out Social Security in Atlanta. Although I was working part-time for 7 of my 15 years here in Alabama during the summer. and I got paid. I could, during the summer, I could probably get 4 quarters. But from what the money that Karen was talking about. But because of windfall elimination penalty, I get docked $200 a month. My take-home check is around $500. Now, don't believe those little letters that you get if you are getting Social Security, because they say I would take home like $1,100. I'm like, baloney. But the thing is, I want people to realize how unfair it is. If I started in Georgia and worked 15 years, then moved to Alabama and worked the 10 years, guess what? I would get full benefits. It is just unfair how they do it, because depending on where you live and how your money is taken out, it's just not consistent. It's just not fair in any way. And it directly affects a lot of our people who live on borders, like the Alabama line, who cross over to work in Georgia but live in Alabama, or vice versa in any state. So this really affects even non-affected states. So people will say, well, it doesn't affect my state. Yes, it does, because you have members all the time crossing the state line to get paid. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you, Patrick. And Judy Polachek is part of the GAE Retired Rapid Response Team, which is underneath our legislative committee. And Judy has a story too. So thank you, Judy, for being here.
Yes, I do have a story. I am a retired ESP, so I'm one of the lower paid people. And I'm affected by GPO. The government deducts 2/3 of what would be my spousal benefit. And it not only does that, but it affects us in so many different ways. Those of us in Georgia that are lucky enough to get I'm having a senior moment. That get
the cost of living adjustments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mind reading 101.
Thank you so much. Which is one of the best things about our TRS. However, if you are affected by GPO, it doesn't help us because the government takes that away from us. It deducts that amount. So every year we are required to fill out a form and send it into the government, telling them about any raise that we're getting in our pension. And then we get a wonderful letter informing us that, oh no, you won't be getting that. And this year, many of us received an even better letter from the government telling us that they had realized somehow that they had overpaid us over the last many years. And for me, they're telling me that I need to repay them over $3,000 now. So, and there are many of us in Georgia TRS that got letters like that. I'm in the process of appealing it, but you cannot sue the government. So you really need to be aware of these two laws, the GPO and the WEP, because it may not sound like much when you're younger and first starting out, but when you go to retire, it's a real whammy.
Thank you, Judy. That well said. And thank you, Patrick, for sharing that also. Oh, and Sally, you are saying in the chat, are you sharing also? Sally Arnold?
Yes, I've had trouble trying to get in and raise my hand before and stuff, but anyway, and I have some what might be good news. I'm caught up, like Judy's caught up in the GPO. I have been calling, I've been trying to get what they did the 1st of June. They stopped my Social Security. I've been getting it since I retired in 2011. They just stopped it. I didn't know they had stopped it. And a couple weeks after the 1st, I received a letter stating I was making too much money. I got an attorney, and she's not real bright, but anyway, I kept trying to explain to her this money. It was like over close to $1,700 that they were saying I was getting, and I no longer qualify. She thought it was my TRS. And I'm going, no, nowhere near that at this point. Because Social Security, every time we get a COLA, they take out a certain percent, just like you said, which is $20 or something. It's not that much, but they take it out. I always pay when I get the statement from Social Security, because they'll send me a statement asking, did I make more money? Did I whatever? And I always say yes. And then I'd send, they send me how much I owe. I send the statement from TRS on what my increase was. And then they send me a bill. Social Security sends me a bill saying I owe this much. I go ahead and pay it, whatever it is, because I don't want to fool with the government. I'm not going to do that monthly stuff with them. I want to do it and get it over with. But anyway, long story short, I'm caught up like Judy. I'm getting my husband's benefits. What Social Security in the letter said is that I have been getting, or should have been getting, over $1,600. I've never gotten nowhere near that from the beginning. When I first got it was somewhere around 1,000. It's down to about 700 now because of the elimination. I called them and asked them, how long is this going to go on? And what they told me was until my money's gone. Okay, fine. I can live with that. And in the meantime, I'm still getting my TRS increases. And then after they stop, Social Security stops, I know they'll stop taking money out of my TRS. So I can work with that. But what's happened is it's really messed me up. I have to pay in my not Medicare. Yeah, Medicare. I have to pay Medicare. Okay. I have to, it's a month, it's what, $170.10. Well, if I'm only getting from my TRS about $1,200, you got house note and this and that, whatever to pay, it doesn't, the figures don't come out. They won't come out. And so what I've done, I've called, they say, call after Labor Day, call after this, call after that. Well, I just called back, and I'm gonna tell you what, this one, it all depends a lot of times on who you talk to. I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, because all I wanted, I sent the reconsideration letter in, and I just wanted to speak to someone to show them the paperwork so I can prove that I still should be getting Social Security. Now, this is from my husband that passed in '84. Now, what has happened, I talked to this lady a week ago, And what she told me was they never should have stopped my Social Security. Okay. I said, excuse me? She said they never should have stopped it. But she took the time to go in and pull my information out, because I'm half in tears saying I can barely eat. You know, I put a lot of butter on it. But anyway, so that's what she said. Next thing I know, she goes in and she makes me an appointment for the end of next month. You know, they got all these millions of folks and
Well,
stuff. So I'm
Shelley,
not complaining.
you're going to have to keep us posted with what happens at the end of next month. We want
But let me tell you this other part of it. She said that she saw a letter, which I have not received. So I don't know if they pulled it because of the appointment next month or what. They hadn't actually sent it. She said, uh-oh, I'm getting like Judy. I got brain freeze. I'm talking too much. This is real important. Oh, they're saying that I qualify for my Social Security. I have the 40 quarters. I'm highly qualified. I've worked way before I got into education, all kind of different positions. So I've got the quarters and the money. And she said that they were, they wanted to talk to me. They were going to send a letter to change over from my husband's to mine.
Well,
and I was told they couldn't do that.
Well, I hope that that works out, and I hope you will continue to keep GAE retired and Lisa in the loop with all of this, because this is very important information, and thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to move us back, if that's okay, to our agenda. And we're going to talk just a moment about where to go for further information. And Sally, you have brought up just really good point about, and I've heard this said too, when you're getting ready to retire, you're trying to find out Social Security information, talk early and often to your Social Security office, and not just to one. When I got ready to retire, I went in and the person with whom I spoke knew nothing about the GPO-WEP. So make sure you go through and you get accurate information, get it in writing, etc. And obviously, one good source for information about the windfall elimination provision and the GPO-WEP is the Social Security Administration. And I'm going to share just a couple more. We have our GAE, our organization. If you go to the website at www.gae.org and go to our No magazine, which is under the Issues and Action tab, this past season, we've had 2 issues that contain information about these 2 federal pieces of legislation. So those are good sources of information. And then when you go to the mothership, the NEA.org, and you just hit the search key and you put in GPO-WEP or both of them, you come up with 19 different results. So again, good information. And then we have national efforts. We are not alone. And we have the national movement to repeal GWEP and GPO. And with us today is Pam, who will talk to us a little bit about what is going on nationally, because she's the administrator for this Facebook page. So Pam, I'm going to stop sharing for just a minute. And thank you for being here. And you are muted. Great.
Karen, you'd like me to begin now, is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay, my friends, good morning. And I just want to let you know that This is my first time reviewing something that I wrote for you, and so bear with me. I'm going to minimize and see how this all works out. Thank you.
And Judy, while she's doing that, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to emphasize that plan to contact Social Security several times. Do not believe the first, the second, the third, or the fourth person that you talk to. And I'm not kidding when I say that. That is very, very important.
Thank you for that emphasis. Pam?
And I just want to add also, to piggyback off of that, when you call Social Security, you don't know who is picking up the phone. Thus, it is very important to ask for a retirement specialist because those people are well versed in WEP and GPO. Thank you. Instituted in 2019, I am the administrator of the National WEP and GPO Repeal Movement, a Facebook group that grew from less than 4,000 to over 19,000 members in 2022. We are foreign, federal, state, and municipal pensioners and include teachers, PSRPs, law enforcement, firefighters, postal workers, and veterans, to name a few. In May 2022, we assumed a political action model as we began working more closely with the National WEP GPO Task Force that was planning a rally in DC to fight for the repeal of the WEP and GPO. Excuse me. Also formed in 2019, the task force is a loosely knit group of about 50 people. While belonging to affected organizations, the task force is not an umbrella or management group for the WEP and GPO repeal movement. Its members are affiliated with, but do not represent their local, state, or national unions or retiree organizations. However, several of the organizations we belong to have taken focused action to repeal the WEP and GPO, and they've done this at the national level. Different from the Facebook group, some members of the task force have supported HR 5723, a complete overhaul of the Social Security system with WEP and GPO, an item in the massive bill. But significantly, the Facebook group has never supported HR 5723 because the sunset clause characterizes it. And our fight has never been to overhaul the Social Security system, albeit a necessary goal for our government. In contrast, the Facebook group supports HR 82 and the companion bill S 1302, which are singularly a repeal of the WEP and GPO without time limitations. Sadly, 83% of those affected by the GPO are women, contributing to the wealth gap for women of color and their families. While a spousal problem, the GPO is a women's rights issue. Correspondingly, the WEP and GPO are not only ageist, but also represent laws enacted in the 70s and 80s, supported by faulty thinking and formulas that are no longer relevant today because the government now has the necessary data to make important changes. While citizens have been working to repeal the WEP and GPO for years, a large-scale grassroots volunteer movement arose in 2022 to move HR 82 forward. And they did this because the bill sat idly in the subcommittee on Social Security since January 2021. Our method was to reach a 290 co-sponsor threshold to be placed on the consensus calendar. The consensus calendar is an alternative way to force a bipartisan bill to a vote while retaining its original language. Unfortunately, through various disingenuous disingenuous moves on the part of the Ways and Means Committee and House leadership, the bill was stopped and placed on the union calendar, subjecting WEP and GPO to reform instead of a full repeal, and without promise to even have it addressed. As a result, its sponsor filed a discharge petition to rescue the bill on September 30th, 2022. Briefly, a discharge petition acts to secure consideration of a bill while doing so in direct opposition to the committee of jurisdiction, in this case, the Ways and Means Committee, and the majority party's leadership. Interestingly enough, while sponsored by a Republican, at present, there are 211 Democratic co-sponsors and 94 Republicans. Because of the nature of the discharge petition, signing it places Democrats in direct conflict with House leadership, including the powerful Ways and Means Committee. But it is the only way to move HR 82 forward as written by forcing the House to consider the bill. So this brings us to where we are today in our political action to repeal the WEP and GPO. The leading players who function as direct agents for change are the Facebook group, California Retired Teachers Association, CalRTA, Social Security Fairness, an educational site and Facebook page, and a petition started by John Pernorio, who is the president of the Rhode Island Alliance for Retired Americans. The petition allows us to communicate via email with some 90,000+ signers to keep them abreast of what has happened in the movement and encourage participation in legislative actions. I highly recommend that everyone join the groups and sign the petition, and I shared a list of links with Karen to make that process easy. While it has been a tumultuous time, particularly in September, we continue our fight to secure more co-sponsors for HR 82 and S 1302, and with a considerable effort to get representatives to sign the discharge petition upon the return from the district work period on November 14th, 2022. It is important to note that many Facebook members intend to take WEP and GPO repeal, and specifically HR 82, to the ballot box and in November as single issue voters. Karen, I would really appreciate it if you would share the video. Thank you. And this is our message to representatives, a video that I prepared for our advocacy.
Here we go. Current slide and
Honorable representatives, please help. Retired public servants, including educators, law enforcement, firefighters, and foreign, municipal, state, and federal pensioners, respectfully submit a plea to you. We have suffered too long as our Social Security benefits have been diminished or denied for decades, so we call on our elected officials to right the wrong. Please eliminate the windfall elimination provision, WEP, and the government pension offset, GPO. Sadly, the WEP and GPO repeal effort has gone on for too long, and HR 82, the bill to repeal the offsets, has had a shaky history. The bill sat idly in committee for months through the inaction of the Subcommittee on Social Security. In response, a national grassroots volunteer movement took action to repeal the WEP and GPO by securing the 290 co-sponsor threshold to be placed on the consensus calendar. September 2022 was particularly troublesome for HR 82. Upon reaching 300 co-sponsors, the Ways and Means Committee moved to jeopardize the bill, forcing its sponsor to file a discharge petition. We thank legislators who have already co-sponsored HR 82, but to save the bill, representatives must sign the discharge petition in person. We are focused on support for WEP and GPO repeal, and our vote is our voice. If you haven't co-sponsored HR 82 yet, please do so before the November elections. Hear the call of 2,700,000 retired and disabled workers, spouses, widows, widowers, and public servants who are teachers, PSRPs, first responders, veterans, and postal workers, to name a few. Move this pressing matter to the forefront of your legislative activities to show you care, and take the necessary steps. Co-sponsor H.R. 82 and sign the discharge petition.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Pam.
Oh, you are very welcome. Focusing on Georgia, I do have some thoughts about the coming elections for our WEP and GPO repeal advocates. The state has elections for representatives this year, and there's also a tight race for incumbent Reverend Warnock, who is co-sponsored S1302. I recommended the Georgia Association of Educators retired and other groups get the word out to members to vote for Warnock because he has demonstrated his concern for public servants by co-sponsoring the bill. At the same time, I encourage a review of co-sponsored and unsponsored reps to assist your members in addressing this issue before casting their votes in the November elections. And I would like to add that there are 5 reps in Georgia, Bordeaux, Carter, Clyde, Ferguson, and Green, who have not co-sponsored HR 82. So I think that would be important to bring to the fore for your members. And the good part about this is that they can co-sponsor the bill before the election. I think that I have shared much about where things are at in the repeal movement today. And while I'm not an expert on Social Security, I'm happy to answer questions regarding the movement and any other possible understandings I might have. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. And if people have questions, if they want to put them in the chat, we can go that route. And Pam is joining us from the Chicago area, which again, as we were talking earlier, is the magic of Zoom. We are a multi-state event today. So what I would like to do is what I would like to do is to put you in a breakout room for about 5 minutes or so. And I'm hopeful that when we come back, that you will have some thoughts written down for a 15 to 30-second elevator speech that you could share with other education employees, or you could share with members of Congress or with your own Georgia Senate representatives about what the GPO-WEP is. And so if somebody said, well, what is this? And they haven't heard of it, what would you say? And I'd like us to hopefully, in the perfect world, have 2 or 3 people share after the breakout rooms. And those people I'll be mailing a small gift card to for your being brave to be on the spot. So are there any questions before we go into the breakout rooms? I have paused for the 7 seconds. So I am going to create, I haven't done breakout rooms before, so I hope this works. And I will see you all in about 5 minutes. Introduce yourselves to one another and ask each other questions and take notes, and hopefully we'll have some elevator speech volunteers in just a few minutes. So see you soon. And if you're still with me and you would like to join a breakout room, please feel free to do so. I think you have to click on your screen.
Could you send me back to the breakout room number 2? We're not ready yet, Karen.
Oh, well,
I-
I've asked everybody, Laura, to rejoin us within
Oh, okay.
60 seconds. So we'll continue.
I accidentally hit the wrong button. So our guest was talking and she never finished.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. It's hard.
No problem, no problem.
Sorry, Pam. I hit this button. I was trying to turn it off and then bang. One last thing, Pam. I'm not on Facebook. So I know for many years we were encouraged not to be on Facebook. So to get in, how else can you get involved if you're not on the Facebook group? Do you have to join Facebook?
Well, let me tell you, all of the initiatives, the CalRTA and our initiatives are on the Facebook page. It doesn't mean you need to, that you can go onto the Facebook page because it's a public Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
And you can see all the initiatives that are on there. You don't have to engage in conversation, but it is an excellent place for you to go to, be updated. And the petition that I spoke of, I work with John Prenorio and we try to update everybody on the petition as to what's going on. One of those referrals is back to the Facebook page because we're a repository of information. I think that's the best way to put it. And you can get all the information there to engage with these organizations. And Lisa's got, Karen has the list where you can sign up for those things.
Okay.
Which is a nice segue into thank you all for returning. It reminds me a little bit of like Dorothy and Oz, and people come and go very quickly here. But as I mentioned early on in the chat, this meeting is being recorded, and I will go through and send participants a follow-up email next week that will have links to everything we've talked about. Somebody asked for links to the video. So stay tuned and hopefully the information will be helpful. So speaking of helpful information, besides the people who have spoken already today, are there individuals who feel comfortable giving the 15 to 30-second elevator speech about GPO-WEP? Are there any volunteers? This is where we hope somebody will say, okay, I'll take a chance. Calvin Rollins, former GAE president and GAE retired member. Is that your hand I see?
Yes, it is, Karen, and I hesitate to weigh in because I'm affected, I think both ways. Our system was taking out Social Security, of course, when I started work, and about halfway through, they decided to opt out. So they opted out. I again started paying when I came to Atlanta. I had my quarters in, and so once I retired, I am able to draw some, but not the full benefit. And as we were discussing in the breakout room, I think I would be greatly affected if something should happen to my husband because they would penalize me more. So I'm trying to learn more about it. And so that's why I joined, so I could learn as much as I could about it. We talked about it basically, and we worked on it when I was president, but we hit a roadblock and didn't, we didn't accomplish very much because we're still trying, we're still working on it.
Well, Calvin, thank you for sharing that information. Is there anybody else who would like to share? Just if somebody said, well, what is the WEP all about? And while you're thinking, if you're, as they say in the play Macbeth, screwing your courage to the sticking place, I will share with you that when I was an active member, we have been tackling this issue of trying to get GPO-WEP repealed, I would say for 15 or 20 years. And this is the closest we've come to getting it repealed. And it's just, Tony Smith, who's the GAE retired president, I give her a lot of credit in that she was in a GAE retired, sorry, an NEA retired legislative committee meeting, and she brought up the GPO-WEP, and the NEA leadership, retired leadership, was just going, oh, we're not going to really tackle that. And Tony, who's affected by the GPO-WEP, just said, wait a minute. And so kind of the rest is history as far as Georgia making progress. And we went through at the NEA Representative Assembly this past year, and the GAE retired brought this, the thoughts of this new business item to the GAE board, who moved it and made it a new business item for the NEA Representative Assembly. So there is a lobbying cadre. And Lisa, can I put you on the spot where you think this is at this point in time, in terms of NEA's progress on making this happen?
Yes, ma'am, you can put me on the spot because I do have an update for you. State presidents have a deadline of Tuesday to recommend their one active and one retired member. And it is not just the 15 states that you showed earlier, Karen. It's also our Federal Education Association is impacted by this. And so the 15 states and the federal president, we received an email last week. My nomination of my active and retired member is due to NEA Tuesday. So I am hopeful that very soon after that, there will be, the cadre will be appointed, pulled together, and begin working. The other thing I will let you know is those of us who are state presidents who are impacted, and her name just went out of my brain, but the president in Connecticut and I are working closely together to ensure that this continues to be a priority and that this work does not get lost. So the presidents of the states are all in agreement that this is something that is important to our members, and it is something that we will continue to add our voice. We had planned to meet during Super Week, and then our meeting time kind of got preempted by the President of the United States coming to speak to NEA. So we will all be together in Chicago November 12th. And so we are planning to have that conversation again. And I will do my very best to make sure that the conversation continues with the presidents. One other thing that I think is very important is that we know we need to talk to our members who are directly impacted. And we know we need to talk to our legislators. But the other piece of this is we have to be educating the members in the other affiliates in NEA so that they understand. And they understand that we are asking for what we have paid into as they have paid in. We're not asking for something we didn't pay in. We paid in, our spouses paid in, that we are being penalized as public employees. So there are 3 groups that we need to be talking to.
Thank you, Lisa, for that update. Pam?
Karen and I was sharing something with Karen the other day that I felt was pertinent, Lisa, and everyone. I did a bit of research to find out which states had written resolutions, passed laws of sorts in support of weapon GPO repeal. Sadly, there really weren't that many of them. One of the leaders on the state level is Mike Johnson out of Louisiana. And they and a few other states, Maine, California, a couple other states, have resolutions that support weapon GPO repeal. And I live in Illinois, so I've been working with a rep and a senator, and we were able to get a written that they're going to bring it forth in the lame duck session. But I bring this up because although we can't change laws, federal laws, at least our legislators within our states, they can have a very loud voice. And I would highly recommend encouraging the state of Georgia. I'm sure that one has, friends in the legislature to begin working on resolutions. And what I did is I shared all the resolutions I had, and then they have specialists who work on that. But anyway, I'm recommending that is another avenue of support for the effort. Thank you so much.
Yep, Pam, and we're already in my head, people on this call or this Zoom don't know it, but I think that's where we might be going next. So, and I'd like to have Vivian Brooks share a little bit about what has been done, and followed by Linda Wolf-Smith. And Vivian is also co-chair of our rapid response team. So Vivian, if you'll share a little bit about what has been done through GAE and GAE Retired.
Okay, GAE and GAE Retired has worked on promoting the awareness of GPO-WEP through the No Magazine, NEA Today, Leadership Academy presentations, lunch bunch presentations, ODE meeting presentations, district meeting presentations, board meetings, and more presentations that I'm not, that I may not have been a part of. I did not realize it, but last time I was on that meeting, I thought about it after Karen was sharing and Tony was sharing what they were doing. I was like, I was in a whole lot of that, but I didn't think about it. But so GAE and GAE Retired has been working to get the message out about GPO-WEP. And also there's a task, a national repeal GPO-WEP task force that I serve on. And I get a lot of information from there, and then I pass it on to GAE Retired and GAE. Me and Patrick Crabtree attended a DC rally that was sponsored by GAE Retired. They paid for the trip, and it was very rewarding to get a chance to see what actually happens, being able to talk to legislators, staff, and then see how things worked in Washington, which I never thought I would be able to do that. On May 18th, we went to the National Task Force Repeal Task Force Repeal GPO-WEP in DC. That was on May 18th, and we talked with legislators, staff and I have been sending information, telling our members to GAE and GAE Retired to pass it on to our members, to have them to contact legislators in the House and Means, Finance Committee, different ones that the task force recommends. GAE Retired and GAE have contacted legislators and state legislators and legislators in Congress through email, phone calls, Facebook. They have communicated with legislators to co-sign the GPO-WEP bill. So we have been contacting our own legislators through GAE, their task force that we have.
And Vivian, that takes us into Linda sharing, if that's okay.
Oh, yes. Okay, that's fine.
That takes us into Linda Wolf-Smith, who's chair of the GAE Retired Legislative Committee, sharing about the mailing we did. Linda? You're muted, my friend.
Good morning, everyone. I got sort of sideline Karen after we went into our breakout rooms. And I think what I want to take these few precious minutes to say is that I joined GAE in the early 80s. And GAE and NEA was fighting for GPO-WEP then. But as a new teacher, I scoffed it off. You know, I'm just starting. My babies are 5 and 6 years old. I knew I worked a little bit with Social Security, but I did not take it serious. And I think after listening to the testimony of Kenneth and Alicia, she was cut off at the time, it's a scary time when you know your life is going to depend on the actions of so many that will involve a vehicle called Congress that know the rules and regulations, but people are not believing. So I want to get back to that elevator speech and just say that what we have been doing with GAE, because a lot of people don't know. I've worked under Calvin Rollins as president. I'm working under Lisa. She started as a high school student, maybe a first college student with GAE. But what we have done is what we've always done. When we have issues, we address those issues. But what I want for you guys to do, and what Judy said in our breakout group, is that it's not just the teachers you work with who are at that point. I think every point is at that point after Target, to inspire them to, number one, put your retirement of your end of career at the top of your list so that you will be prepared for when that day comes. That's the elevator message. And it will go from there in terms of what you want them to know. But I have all faith and gratitude to GAE, knowing that we will always be there to address the issues that our members are facing. And thank you guys for coming today. During the election, this is just a minute worth, GAE had the opportunity to distribute about maybe 7,000 or 5,000 cards about get out to vote. I received calls from people who picked up those cards in libraries, people who got mailings. I have someone in Margaret Taylor's Green area who sent them all to Democrats. So it's far reaching what we are and what we're capable of doing. So take the message that you got here today and just continue to spread the word. Thank you, Karen, for this beautiful program. I'm so happy to see so many unfamiliar names and familiar ones. And I know we'll keep fighting until the 8th to get this job done in particular. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And Judy, will you tell us what's going on in this picture? And if you're talking,
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yep.
Oh, in the picture.
Yep, in the picture.
Okay. That was really a wonderful opportunity for some of us to meet with Senator Warnock's aide from Washington, D.C. and talk to him about the effects that WEP and GPO were having on our members, as well as all educational issues that we are affected by. And it was really a wonderful opportunity. And that's, of course, Lisa Morgan, our president, that was in it, and Doris Glover, our GAE retired vice president, and that was Jeff Hubbard, who is our NEA director.
Thanks, Judy. And I'll turn it over to Joe Fleming, who is the GAE Government Relations Director. Joe, you have so many titles, it's hard to keep up with them, but thank you for being here. And Joe's going to talk about and bring it home for us of what action we might even take today.
Thank you, Karen. And Pam, feel free to chime in if you see things differently. I'm also going to rely on Lisa Morgan, who is in Washington, D.C. with Jeff recently, meeting with members of the Georgia delegation to talk about WEP and GPO. But I want to make sure. I don't know, my computer screen's gone crazy. Where am I?
Do you want me to share?
It's okay. I've made actually a few changes.
Oh, okay.
I'll send it to you. So obviously we're talking about WEP GPO. There are two bills that are currently addressing the situation. One is House Resolution 82. That's the one that Pam was talking about, the discharge petition, and it's been discussed in the Ways and Means Committee. The Senate version of it is S1302. Both are called the Social Security Fairness Act. They fix the problem, both with WEP and GPO. As Pam mentioned, the bill in the House was recently discussed in committee. It was reported out of committee, but without a recommendation. Usually when a bill leaves a committee, it's got a recommendation for approval. This, they just sent out a committee, and it's now in what they call the Union Committee, which where it sits until it's actually scheduled for the floor. The bill's got, I think, 305 sponsors right now in the House, which is a huge number. There's 435 members of the House. So it has more than enough votes to pass, but for some reason, leadership's seemingly reluctant to bring it to the floor for a vote. The main sponsor of the bill is a Republican from Illinois, Rodney Davis. After the bill left Ways and Means without a yes recommendation, he filed a discharge position. That discharge position is House Resolution 1367. Pam addressed this a little bit. Discharge petition is a way of forcing a floor vote. However, for a discharge petition to be successful in forcing a vote on the floor, it needs a majority of the signatures of the members of the House. Well, you say it's got 305 sponsors, you only need 218 to have a majority. It shouldn't be a problem, right? Well, this summer, there have been a number of concerns raised, including by the Social Security Administration's chief actuary, that the bill would hasten the insolvency, I think I say solvency there, but insolvency of the Social Security system. Currently, projections are that Social Security is going to run out of money by 2035. The Social Security Administration says passage of this bill would mean that it would run out of money in 2034. The price tag's pretty large too. It's 146 billion, but certainly that's far, far less than the Congress has spent on COVID relief or on relieving student loans. So the price tag alone shouldn't be the problem. Social Security is a lot like the way we see TRS in Georgia. Don't touch it. It works fine. You're asking for political trouble if you mess with it. And I think that some may be a little afraid about the question of insolvency coming a little bit sooner. Now, Congress is going to have to deal with the fact that they're running out of money by 2035. That's not that far away, but I almost get the impression it wants to kick the can down the road. So we'll see. The discharge position only has 24 signatures right now. And as I said, it needs 218. So the main message that we want to carry forward right now is, well, certainly sign the bill, but definitely sign the discharge petition because we want that to get to the floor. Here's a couple of things we can do. These are the congressmen from Georgia that have not signed the bill. Buddy Carter down on coastal Georgia, Drew Ferguson, Carolyn Bordeaux has not signed the bill, but she will not be returning next year. We'll have a new congressperson there, Lucy McBath, most likely. Andrew Clyde's not signed it, Barry Loudermilk, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's a couple things that we can do. These links, and Karen, you're welcome to share the PowerPoint if you'd like, but let's see if we can follow this one real quick. Well, there we go. So this will take you directly to a pretty easy NEA page. Literally all you have to do is fill out your information. The message will be forwarded to your congressman. There's a sample letter attached included in it. You know, it's always good to put things in your own words if you can, or tell your own personal story about
And
how
Joe,
this.
you'll have to reshare your screen because we're not seeing where it went to.
I'm sorry?
Can you reshare your screen because we're not seeing when you opened it where it
Oh, I'm
went
sorry.
to?
Sure.
Thank you. Lovely, lovely,
Got it.
lovely.
Great. So the link that we were just looking at here takes you to an NEA page, as I mentioned. All you have to do is fill out some basic information. The letter below is pre-populated there. As I was saying, if you can use your own words and most importantly your own story, that would be the most effective way to carry on with that. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint real quick. They're also, it's the same letter here, but we also need to contact Senator John Ossoff. We were fortunate that shortly before we met with Reverend Warnock's legislative aide, who came by our office in Tucker to meet with us, he had just signed on to the bill. So we're working on getting Senator John Ossoff to sign it as well. So he should be among our contacts as well. One of the things that we sometimes forget in politics is the thank you. And these are the sponsors of the two pieces of legislation that we mentioned. In your conversations or in your grassroots emails, we want to tell them thanks. I don't know that WEP GPO is going to pass this year. I'm sadly skeptical that it will happen this year, but we need to begin for the next Congress, which starts in January. We'll have a new bills in each chamber, and we start from ground zero again. We've got to get back up to the number of sponsors that we have for the current legislation. But if you come across the paths of these individuals, or if you just take the time to write them a quick note, and I'll show you how to do that in a second, please tell them thanks, that we really appreciate them looking out for public servants who are being denied benefits by the Social Security and by federal law. We'll have a new congressman in the 6th district. We'll have a new congressman in the 10th district and the 12th district. One of the things that's interesting to me about this list of sponsors is you've got the whole range here. You've got Jody Heiss, who's a congressman, I think represents Karen, probably one of the most conservative members in the United States Congress. And then you've got Democrats running to Hank Johnson. And I mean, it's just the entire spectrum. It's really amazing. But they understand that firefighters, educators, policemen, other public servants are really being treated unfairly. And this is something that we need to deal with. Last slide I've got This will take you to a website where you can find your representatives. Let's click on that. I'll stop share. I'll reshare. So this is a site at the United States Congress website. All you have to do is enter your zip code. I'll enter mine real quickly. And it tells me that, it gives me two choices, I guess. I don't know if that's because of redistricting or not, but it should be a way to provide you with information about your congressperson is. I'm going to click on Lucy McBath real quick. Every congressperson will have a contact button or tab at the top of their screen. We can do that right now. We can send Lucy McBath an email, in her case, thanking her for sponsoring the bill. And that can be done real quickly. You can use, as I said before, the NEA form letter, or you can craft your own response. But again, thank those who've stood with us and ask those who have not sponsored the bill to do so, but more importantly, to sign the discharge petition. Yes, ma'am. Lisa,
Joe, I want to jump in real quickly, just to let you all know. Jeff Hubbard, who is our NEA director, and I met with Senator Ossoff's staff during Super Week, and past President Sid Chapman has also had conversations with Senator Ossoff's staff. They are seeking more information from us. We are working on getting that to them. So Senator Ossoff is, in some cases, there are Senate strategies based on when people are signing on to things. They have some bills that they are trying to keep equally bipartisan. So there were a couple of bills that his staff told us we're not signing yet because when we go sign, it's going to be Senator Ossoff, as a Democrat, will be going with a Republican who is now willing to sign on, and the two of them will be signing on at the same time. So sometimes I don't want us to think that Senator Ossoff is not supportive. When he ran, he indicated to us that he was supportive. He understands the issue. He wants more information because he wants to understand how many educators are impacted in Georgia, but he is supportive. And I think this is another one. There were a couple of bills that his staff indicated to us that they were trying to be very bipartisan in how they were signing onto the bills.
Thanks, Lisa. And Joe, are you through? No. Okay, good.
Here's our window for this year. The last votes for Congress before the election are scheduled to occur on Friday, October 30th. They will be out of session until after the election, returning November 15th. They've got a lot of appropriations work still to do, other pressing legislation, and then, of course, Thanksgiving and Christmas will be right behind that. So there is kind of a limited window to force action this year. That's why that discharge petition is so important. But it very well may be possible that in January, we'll be having a Zoom meeting like this and marshaling our forces to make sure we get back all the old sponsors that we had this year and pick up new ones based on the elections in November. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Lisa was in DC. She knows firsthand what's going on up there. But, and I saw Pam has her hands up as well.
Well, before, Pam, no offense, before I call on you, if it's okay, and Joe, thank you. I want to just, I'm cognizant that we are at the end of our time, but I just want to share some upcoming events that you might be interested in that GAE Retired has a hand in. And again, these are on our GAE Retired Facebook page and GAE Communications. So take a look. If you really do want to know more about Social Security, join us for the lunch bunch held the first Wednesdays of the month. Anise Norman, who we've worked with now for several years, will be our featured speaker. we're going through and turning things into the upcoming, towards the upcoming General Assembly. And on a Saturday morning, we'll have our state capitol tour and General Assembly orientation in December. And then we'll have our Lobby and Learn conference right before the General Assembly starts on January 9th. And GAE Retired Day at the Capitol is happening before GAE Day at the Capitol. And then lastly, if you are close to retirement, we host several pre-retirement seminars every year. They're held on Saturdays because active members are still in the classroom. We have one coming up November 12th. You can see the time, and you can see again, if you haven't gotten enough information about the GPO-WEP, not only do we talk about Social Security with Anise Norman that day, again, we will be presenting about the GPO-WEP. Open to members and non-members, please join us early and often. And Pam, I am calling on you.
Oh, Joe, thank you for your great ideas. I have to tell you that I'm not so much skeptical, or I wouldn't be devoting my life full time to this effort. But I think everyone has to understand that there are competing bills that do not include GPO, and they're coming right out of the Ways and Means Committee by the ranking member and Neil. So that's very challenging. But all of the effort that has been put on Congress, they have to look at this. One of the biggest problems right now, and I think everyone has to understand this, and this also applies to the discharge petition. There are a variety of reasons why the Speaker and House leadership are not pushing this forward. Not the least of which is we are going into an election cycle. That also affects the discharge petition, because to sign the discharge petition, you're going against House leadership. And the bill, HR 82, has, more than twice as many Democrats. So there is pressure being put on, but we are closer than ever before. And there are some pretty important sources who feel that there is real possibility to get that discharge petition signed. But what happened was, because of the events that occurred in September, the discharge petition could not be brought up until the 30th, which was the last day before they went on break or the district work period. So that highly influenced the ability for people to sign. But we do have evidence that a real problem existed, Joe, because two of those people who signed are Democrats, which would tell us, even though we don't have proof about it, that there is real pressure being put on. And then I just want to let everyone know that if you go directly to the bills, and Joe, you did the Find the Rep, if you go right to HR 82 and S 1302, you can communicate directly with your rep there, whether they've sponsored or co-sponsored. So the sponsor is Davis and everybody else is a co-sponsor. But I find that's a very easy method for communicating, and it takes you exactly where Find a Rep will eventually take you. Thank you. Yes, exactly.
Right, and I just put in HR 82, and this is the congress.gov site, and you can click, there are a bunch of tabs here. You can see a summary, the text, you can see the co-sponsors, and they're listed by state. And as Pam's saying, you can click on and message each of these people. So we've gone a few minutes over, but we have accomplished our agenda. I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank everyone who shared today. And I hope you will attend other events. We are not through talking about the repeal of GPO-WEP by any stretch of the imagination. And we have our own state general assembly to look forward to in January after we get through this election cycle. So thank you for your time and your talent being here today. And I hope you have a wonderful fall weekend. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Calvin.
Thanks.
This is Sally. Good
Hello,
to see.
Sally.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Uh-huh.
You said she was missing?
I had seen her.
This is like the Waltons signing off.
Yeah, Karen,
Yes,
can
ma'am.
you hold on just a second?
I can hold indeed. Again, thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Karen.
You're done, Connie. I bet that may be, Karen, just wanting to tell you, we have a new source of information. I just read a report, 94% of the school districts, if we look at their audits, we can find out, yes.
That is wonderful. Good.
So I am,
Don't spend your time.
I've also spent this time looking at websites because that's what Senator Ossoff's office wants. I'm going to send him what we have and what I've done.
CC me because I want to know.
Well, I'm going to send the spreadsheet that I shared with you before. What I've done, I've put in italics. For example, if the school district's website only talks about PSERS and TRS, to me, that means they're not paying Social Security. Because if they're paying Social Security, they talk about it.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, okay. I'm going to the other session.
And Joe, I'm going to talk to you a minute if that's okay. And thank you, Lisa, for this morning.
Yep. I'm going to put my pearls on and my jacket, and it's cold in this office.
Okay, let me just, I think today was successful. We had 95 people sign up. Where they all went to kind of puzzles me on a Saturday morning, but that's okay. Your thoughts? Yep, you have to unmute if you're going to talk to me.
I was impressed with the turnout on a Saturday morning. I don't know that we would have that turnout from any other quote committee or I mean, I was impressed and great stuff. How many people on the call do you think were kind of new to that haven't been on prior WEP GPOs?
75%.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
I
realized as I was going through it, I probably was too pessimistic, and I'm sorry I came across that way. I just don't think it's going to happen this year.
I don't think so too.
There's a reason why Nancy Pelosi is not allowing this, and I'm not really clear on what it is, but you got 305 sponsors. Something's holding this up, and the only thing I can guess is a fear that Democrats will be attacked by Republicans for jeopardizing Social Security or vice versa.